Kentucky makes too many mistakes to find an upset on the road against Florida, and yet I still feel pretty good about the Cats moving forward.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 92-83 loss to the Florida Gators, a game that Kentucky just simply was not close enough to the Gators in. A lot of different things went wrong in this one. Cats lose by 9. They cover. I still feel pretty good about this team moving forward. In fact, I believe that this Florida team is definitely beatable when they come back to Rupp at the end of the season. But we'll dive into this one. 92-83 is the final score again here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your number one sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Mazda's this week's moving the game forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. I can't talk right now, apparently. 92-83 again is your final. Cats drop to 17-8, 8-4 in SEC play. They've still got a shot at an SEC title, but more importantly, they've still got a shot at a double bye in the SEC tournament. A lot of tough games moving forward, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. Losing this game by 9, having this be a 4 or 5 point game at various points in this contest, I feel good about this Kentucky team moving forward. Their mistakes, the things that lost them this game, were in their control. Behind the scenes here at Locked On Kentucky, been doing a little math, been doing a little research, been kind of thinking over, what makes this Kentucky team tick? What makes college basketball in general? What makes the best teams tick? And we've talked about it a little bit already on the show, and it's about the possession battle. It's about how many possessions can you create for yourself. It doesn't necessarily matter if you're the most efficient shooting team in America. Now, it definitely does help, especially whenever you get to March. But I think that the amount of possessions that you can control, I think, will dictate an outcome, or at least strongly influence an outcome. And I said heading into this one, I thought Kentucky could win in Gainesville. I didn't say they would. I said they had the ability to win. Because Florida is not a guard-oriented team. They are a front court-oriented team. They have been all year. They have been the worst shooting team in the SEC. And so if you can create more possessions for yourself or get into a rock fight type of game with Florida, you have a chance. That stands true even after this loss. Because what did Florida do in this game? They didn't necessarily set themselves apart on the rebounding margins. They got 13 second chance points as opposed to Kentucky's 10. What happened? It was out of this world shooting from Xavier Lee and Urban Klavjar. Those two guys shot the ball at an efficiency and volume level that they have not shot the ball all season. Xavier Lee, 27% on the year. Klavjar is now up to 39%. But he hasn't been a guy who has been lighting the scoreboard up in terms of volume this season. And so Kentucky goes down because of hot shooting that you don't necessarily see out of this Florida team. And yes, did Kentucky leave Klavjar open on 2 threes? Sure. That's 6 points in a 9-point loss. Okay. But again, that's not all of the story. They didn't beat him on the glass in terms of cashing in. But they had an incredible shooting night from Xavier Lee, who went 4 of 7 from deep. He had 22 points. He was the MVP of this game. And then also, Florida, a team that does not turn their opponents over. 15.6%. They were 273rd nationally heading into this game. They're now up to 268th because Kentucky turned the ball over 14 times. And that led to 25 points off of turnovers for the Gators. An unprecedented shooting night for Xavier Lee. Contested shots and 25 points off of turnovers. For a team that in their big time wins for for Kentucky has really held on to the ball. That's what killed Kentucky in this game. Their mistakes and unprecedented shooting from Lee. He, as the chatter literally just noted, he never plays that well. Now, he was a great scorer at Princeton. And is he still a very good player? Yes. Incredible ball handler, incredible on-ball speed. He is a very talented player. But he has never, frankly, in his entire career, shot the ball well, and he has not shot the ball well at all this year, and he goes 4 of 7 today. There's 12 points for you and a 9-point loss. This is a game where Florida, clearly, in terms of size, in terms of speed, in terms of physicality, is a better team than Kentucky. In terms of schematics, in terms of the personnel, it's not the best matchup in the world. It just isn't. Florida can still be one of the best teams in the nation and struggle against Kentucky-type teams. I said it heading into this game. So, yes, Kentucky loses. You never are happy coming out of a loss. You're never happy coming out of your loss. You will not settle, which is why I immediately tweeted out when this game was clearly over and was wrapping up. Kentucky has to feel good about themselves still going into this matchup at the end of the year. I expect Kentucky to beat this team in Rupp at the end of the year. We've talked a lot about expectations and defining what the standard is, what our standard is for this program. What is Kentucky moving forward? I'll tell you what I expect. I expect this Kentucky team to beat Florida in Rupp. It's a stylistic, it's a matchup thing. Kentucky lost today. You can summarize it by saying they shot themselves in the foot. Now, I want to give credit to Florida because I think they have a number of uber talented players. Thomas Howe is incredible. Chinyelu is a stud. Xavier Lee is incredible. Condon is incredible. You don't often see players that big with such a incredible first step and that burst of speed. Those guys were great today. And yet they won by 9 against a team that turned the ball over 14 times. Variance, control. Controlling the volatility of a matchup is what's going to help Kentucky moving forward. And that comes through rebounding. It comes through turnover rate. It comes through free throw rate. And the Cats didn't do enough today. And yet I look at this game and I say I'm frustrated with a lot of things. I'm frustrated with Oweh's performance for sure. But I'm not. I have confidence in this team moving forward. Not, especially when you look down the stretch before you get to that Florida game. There's a lot of reasons why you can still be optimistic about the Cats. This was a loss on the road against a top 15 team. You never settle. You're never happy that you lost. There are no moral victories in losing individual games, which is why I'm confident Kentucky's going to turn it around and get an actual victory at the end of the season against Florida. Good game, and Kentucky does not find a way. A lot of you are talking about the officiating in this game. We'll get to some of that, as well as some other performances in this one. There was a lot of bad. Obviously, Kentucky gives up 92 points. What happened in this contest? We'll break it all down for you in just a minute. Talk about Indeed first. Hiring just isn't about finding somebody that's willing to take your job, right? It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person just stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who actually fit your specific criteria, like skills, credentials, certifications, and location. If I were hiring somebody, I wouldn't just want somebody who can help. I want someone who has actual, real, tangible experience that can jump right in. It saves time because you spend less energy sorting through mismatches, and with sponsored jobs, your posts get seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And a stat for you here that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you about Indeed, companies like yours have made 27 hires, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 in sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you're hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The Winter Games are officially here. If you're anything like us, you're locking in for the events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about the most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The Winter Games are on. There's no better time to follow them than with FanDuel. It's FanDuel. Play your game. All right, continuing along on today's show, 92-83 is the final score. Cats lose in Gainesville. Pause for water. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. If you've not subscribed, would love it if you did so. A lot of you are talking about the officiating in this one in the live chat. I mean, that's making up the large majority of the conversation in this chat. So let's talk about him. Just on the surface, like any box score watcher is going to run to this one and say, well, 26 fouls for Kentucky as opposed to Florida's 19. 25 free throws for Kentucky as opposed to Florida's 32. Cats make 18, Gators make 22. It's not a crazy, difference there. But if you actually watched this in the second half, variance control in the possession battle, I think it's crucial in a game like this against a team like Florida, who is such a good rebounding team. You can't get beat turning the ball over. You didn't really get beat on the rebounding margins, and yet you lost because you turned the ball over. That's basically the story. But what did not help was the poor officiating rearing its head in the second half. As people on Twitter have basically said, and I've kind of said it here before, it's hard to talk about officiating, college basketball officiating, without sounding like a loser. It was not good in the second half. It was wildly inconsistent. There were two straight possessions where Otega drives to the rim, and it looks like a foul. It's uber physical. He gets bumped. I don't think he gets blocked on the possession, but it's so physical, and he gets thrown to the floor basically, and there is no foul called. The next possession, exact same thing happens. Oweh gets thrown to the ground while he's going for a shot, and they call the foul. The whistle in the second half was dictated by context. It was not dictated by the rule book. It felt like Owen Short and this crew were calling this game in the second half, trying to even things out instead of what was actually happening on the floor. And Nate Oates, who everybody hates right now, talked about this recently, actually, when talking about Florida. They do a lot of things that you shouldn't be able to get away with, especially when it comes to rebounding. But a lot of things happen in that front court down low where they are way more physical than the rule book allows them to be. And it doesn't get called, mostly because it doesn't get noticed. So the reality is you have to find a way to overcome that if you're Kentucky, and you didn't today. But still, I do find it very entertaining that Mohamed Diabate has his shirt pulled down, like he is being pulled to the ground by the collar of his shirt by, I believe, Chinyelu. I don't remember who it was. They go to replay, and they say it's not a foul. What I would like for Kentucky players to do, if somehow a parent, a staff member, somehow you are watching this show still, which, first of all, thank you for tuning in. My opinion doesn't matter to you. But moving forward, I would strongly suggest that you tell your players or your kids on this Kentucky team, grab them by the collar of the jersey and see if you can get their head to touch the floor. Because according to Owen Short and this crew, it's clean, good fun in the game of basketball. It's clean, good fun to grab a kid by his shirt and see if he can get his nose to touch the baseline. on a rebound. That's what I would like for this Kentucky team to do moving forward. See if you can rip their shirt in half, pulling them down to the ground on a rebound. Because that's good, clean fun. That's not a foul. It's not a foul. Because a Division I college basketball referee who is coaching at the officiating at the highest level of this sport told us today on national television, on ABC, that grabbing a player by a jersey, pulling him down on a rebound is not a foul. Another instance in this game. Florida attempting to go for a rebound. Almost jumping over a Kentucky player. I believe it might have been Oweh. Carl Ravitch, play-by-play announcer for this game on television, says verbatim that Florida was going over the back of whatever Kentucky player it was to try and grab that rebound. Over the back of a Kentucky player. No foul was called. It's almost like we have a foul for that's called over the back. It's almost like that exists. Did officiating lose this game? Not even close. Do you know what lost this game? If you're going to point to one single thing, there's a lot of different things that happened, but you can point to one single thing. Points off turnovers. You cannot turn the ball over 14 times, it result in 25 points, and expect to win a basketball game on the road against a top 15 team. That is Kentucky's fault. That is why they lost. That's why I have confidence in Kentucky flipping this when this comes back to Rupp. What did not help in the second half was poor officiating. Variance control. Control the volatility of a matchup by maintaining possession. Even if you don't score, the more you have the ball, the less your opponent has it. It's pretty simple. And you can't cough the ball up and then give up 25 direct points off of that and say, it was Owen Short that lost us the game today. There's a lot of things baked into the L tonight. But the cherry on top was the officiating. It wasn't the actual ingredients in this one. Honestly, and I think I said this in a group chat or something, if you take care of the ball, Owen Short, Urban Clavshar hitting 5 threes, it's an afterthought. It's an afterthought and a win. You say, hey, that sucked. Hey, that was crazy, but we found a way, right? You aren't speaking about it this much. Moving forward, you have to be more disciplined and more and stronger with the ball. We'll get to some more negative things here. Kentucky at the rim was 8 of 23 on layups. You cannot win a game like that. Is Florida one of the tallest teams in the nation? Yes. Are they one of the most physical? Yes. Should they have called a better game? Yes. But Kentucky has no touch around the basket. They have no touch. Oweh was 4 of 14 in this game. He was 4 of 11 on shots inside the arc. And he had so many shots at the rim where he just sort of threw it up there and it was not close. Aberdeen got 19 in this game. It took him 21 shots to get there. 8 of 21 in this one. 8 of 21. You have to be stronger. You have to be stronger, and you have to have touch. Basically, what I'm saying here is you have to be more talented. And Kentucky was not. Which will just go ahead. I'll make this comment, and we will move on. Games like this, as the season winds down, shows you which players you want on your roster next season that can come back, and which ones you don't. We will leave it at that. And that's not just, I'm not saying that because of what happened at the rim. I'm just saying in general, defensively, intensity-wise, just talent, period. It shows you which players on this roster you want to see hit the door and which players you want back. We'll talk about a player here that I thought played very well today, despite some foul trouble. And that's Malachi Marino. What have I continued to say? Marino's the guy I want back the most. He is going to get paid. He's going to get paid, dude. He's going to get paid this offseason. 11 points, 11 boards, 4 of 7 from the floor, made all 3 of his free throws, had a nasty block in an individual possession against Chinyelu. In 21 minutes of play, he had a double-double. This is a very talented player. Marino is a very talented player. I want him back next season. Another player that I want back next season that was shooting the ball like his life depends. Colin Chandler's playing well, dude. He's hooping. 18 points, 6 of 10 in this one. 5 of 7 from 3. To go along with 3 steals in this one. Your bench, I mean, you don't have one. You really don't have one. Diabate got 9 points, but he was 2 of 6. Diabate, for all of the stuff that we give him, it is a role for him. A role that I do not envy. To be a physical, kind of undersized 4-man, because that's what he's guarding on defense. And to fight like your life depends on it in a game that should be very little contact, to get roughed up in the way that he does and just continue to fight through it. In 25 minutes, he was +3. That was second best on the team tonight. He fought. He fought hard. You got to have more touch if you're Diabate. But he fought hard, and I can respect that. 9 points, 5 boards. Man, a lot of people in the live chat going at it over Florida fans, man. Why do we care what they think? A lot of you talking about Florida in the live chat. I don't know which Gator got under your feathers, but man, look, you're 8-4 in the SEC after you started 0-2. You got Georgia on Tuesday. That's a good Georgia team, but it's a beatable Georgia team that just lost to Oklahoma, 94-78. Kind of struggling down the stretch. Auburn struggling down the stretch. They're without Keyshawn Hall at Arkansas today. Curious to see how that goes. Texas A&M, who has now lost 4 in a row. We have to go to College Station. These are winnable games, y'all. These are winnable games. You could be 4-1 or 5-0 heading into that final matchup against the Gators. You got to fight. Just keep fighting, man. I do appreciate the beautiful thing about this. I'll say this. Thank you, sincerely, to every Florida fan watching this right now. It helps me. Thank you for watching. 92-83 is the final score. Kentucky gets the win. We'll be wrapping the show up here in just a moment. Before we do it, though, I'll tell you guys about our friends over at Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show, there's more to the score than what's on the screen. I will talk about Malachi Marino's performance today. Yes, there was some foul trouble. Yes, I tweeted out in the middle of this game, there are games like this that show that Marino has to be more physical, and it's a growing up moment for him. And yet, in 21 minutes of play, he's out there grinding it out, getting a double-double amidst a tall, dominant rebounding team. Putting up a double-double. The grit, the determination, and the fight. I like it from Marino, man. It reminds us what it really takes to raise the bar. That extra work off the court, the dialing in on every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that I never quit factor. And Mazda puts that exact same passion and effort into every model. Highlights will make the reel, right? But what it actually took to get there will make that reel count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. All right, wrapping up today's episode of the show. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. We got the live chat in here. About 200 of y'all that have been hanging out here. A lot of Florida fans in the chat, which I just thank you so much. Go ahead, subscribe. I love SEC hoops. You love SEC hoops. Let's get it in. Let's talk about it. Kentucky falling on the road. 92-83 is the final score. Cats do not get it done. 18-4, 17-8 now overall. 17-8 now overall. They got to find a way down the stretch. I know I've said, forget what the computer models say. And I'm kind of throwing it out here because Ken throwing out what the computer models are saying because Ken Palm says Kentucky's going to win 2 out of their last 5. What? They get 3 of those games at home. What? Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and Florida. Georgia, I would say I would expect Kentucky to beat. Auburn is a 50-50 game right now, but that team is sliding. So I like Kentucky's chances. South Carolina is arguably the worst team in the SEC. You better win that game on the road. You better. So there's 2 wins. Iffy on Auburn. Then you turn around against Vandy at home. Vanderbilt, shocker, maybe not as good as we once thought they were. But still, I mean, they're finding ways to win. That's a game that Kentucky, I think, can fight in. Ken Palm actually gives Kentucky basically a 50-50 shot to win that game. That game, according to the computer models, determines whether or not Kentucky gets to 20. Texas A&M on the road is a game at this point I would expect Kentucky to win. If they play hard, if they look up and they say, we still have a chance to win the SEC, they're going to play hard in that game, and I think they're going to find a way to win. Florida at home, I've already told you guys. I started the show with this. I thought coming out of this one, and we're still baking in it, me, you, about 200 of us in the live chat, about, I don't even know how many Florida fans are in here, but they're talking in the chat like there's a lot of them. All of us. Kentucky shot themselves in the foot in this game, man. I expect a different game second time around. I expect this one to be a little different and rough, especially if Kentucky's looking up and they say we got a chance to win a title. Even if they don't win the regular season title, they're probably going to be scratching for a double bye. I mean, I like where this Cats team is at, man. As Ito says, you got to make layups. Make layups. You were 8 of 23. Stop turning the ball over. You had 14 in this one. 9 of those in the first half. That crushed you. See you in Lexington. Appreciate it. Florida didn't play their best. Yeah, so here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about analyzing a game like this. The cool thing about analyzing a game like this is you can get it from both sides. Kentucky went 8 of 23 on layups. You expect them to be better than that. Florida shot like 45% from the floor. You expect them, actually, to be honest with you, I don't really think you expect them to be that much better than that. Because on the season, their effective field goal percentage is 52.7. Florida didn't dominate the rebounding by that much. Okay, well, at the same time, you look over, Kentucky doesn't turn the ball over like this that often. Florida doesn't turn teams over like this. Xavier Lee went for it. Like, there are so many different things on both sides of this. If you want to make that argument to say Kentucky or Florida didn't play that well, Kentucky didn't play that well. It's the reality of it. And they lost by 9 in a game that they could have won. And the best part about it is you turn around, you got to play us at our place next time. So I'm not sitting here telling you Kentucky's going to go out and win that game. I'm telling you it's going to look different. Let's not move the goalpost to football. The reality is, we'll say this. This is a very good Kentucky or Florida team. Very good. Very good players, very good personnel. I respect the hell out of this team. I think that Todd Golden's a great coach. If you want to go back in the archives, go look at what I was saying about Todd Golden before we hired Mark Pope. You're going to come to find that I had a lot of things to say about him that were very positive. And I'm pretty sure, and I'd love to go back and find this, I'm pretty sure I said that he was going to win a title pretty soon. What did he do the next season? Howe is great. Condon's great. Lee is great. Chinyulu's great. Flan sucks. Keep it a buck. Flan has not been good. Klavjar had a great day. Lee had a great shooting day. Florida wins by 9. Kentucky fought hard. I think Kentucky can win this game second time around. Ooh. Normally, I would take this to the live chat to kind of like answer questions, talk a little bit, shoot the bull. I have not seen a war zone like this in the live chat in a minute. if you're listening to this in the postcast, if you're listening to this on podcast after the fact, at Locked On UK on Twitter, if you want to ask a question, because we'll get to it. Flan makes up for it on D. I'll say that he plays hard. You really like a guy who, despite poor shooting, still gives effort. You do appreciate that. Well, all right. We're going to let this one roll. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already. If you guys want to sort this one out, because you guys are going at it. If you guys want to go sort this one out, I mean, doing the comment section on this show, at least I'll have something to entertain myself with. 92-83 is final score. I'm not happy with the loss. But darn if I don't feel good about Kentucky moving forward. I think they can still close this season out strong. I said that before, and I'll keep saying it. You got a game against Georgia on Tuesday. That's a big one. Big one. You can't overlook it. That's a very physical team. Actually, no team in the SEC does a better job of creating extra possessions for themselves. And you may say, whoa, that's kind of Florida's thing. If you want to go look, I have this little formula that I've been working with. I may actually drop the GitHub link in the description. But no team other than Georgia as a whole in terms of just creating extra possessions. And that goes way beyond just rebounding, by the way, y'all. They are in the 99th percentile in the country. And they're still top of the SEC in terms of cashing out on opponent or on the extra possessions that they steal. So that's going to do it for today's episode of the show. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. Follow me on Twitter at Lansdaw_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow, actually Monday, for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And God bless. Ooh.